broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello, Welcome Home listeners. Thank you for joining us on episode 31 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I'm Tom, and I'm here with Trevor and Damon. Welcome back, Trevor.
Hey, thank you. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Okay.
Lots of so much to talk about with your trip, right?
Yeah. Wow.
You didn't get caught in all the rain, right?
No, we were there the week before it rained. Okay. So we actually it was like hot like it was in September for us. Or well, for us it was really hot. It was like 34 degrees or something like that. So that was
34
great.
Degrees Celsius. Let's make that.
Yeah. Sorry. 34 Celsius. It wasn't freezing for it. It was, I guess, 90 somewhere around there, something like that.
Oh, that makes sense.
But yeah, let's get into it here. This was my first DVC stay, and let me say that it was night and day. So such a huge difference between staying at a moderate resort and staying at a deluxe resort, and then on top of that, DVC accommodations. Totally different experience.
Oh
yeah. And I mean, I guess the other thing too is, so we stayed at the Caribbean Beach back in September, and just the atmosphere between Caribbean Beach and the Poly, you can't hold a candle.
You never want to go back to medium. That's the problem.
No, and that's exactly it. Is that
you get spoiled. You get spoiled.
So here's the funny thing: is we got there, we were completely blown away. We were walking around, and then my wife turned to me and she said, "We're coming back here in January." And I kind of laughed because we had talked about booking Boardwalk in January because we were like, let's check out some of the other resorts. But then we got there and we fell in love with it so hard. She was like, "I don't care. We're coming back here." And I agree with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so good. And as far as where we stayed, you guys saw I was posting stuff as we were going through the week. I tried to, keep everybody up to date as much as I could while we were there.
You posted some great stuff, by the way. It's making me very jealous.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, we were so excited. I was so giddy when I saw where our room was. So we were in Moorea on the third floor at the very far end of the building. So like I showed you guys in the video is, I walked out my door and I could see the TTC right there, which was like absolutely perfect. It was,
wow.
Every day was like, getting back to the room. I don't want to be like this, but I had to kind of laugh at all the other suckers that, had to go running out to the trams to get to their cars and everything. And we were standing, we were up on the balcony, kind of looking out going, sucks to be you. But
I always feel that way whenever I see anybody getting on the trams. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm taking my bus right back to my resort, or I'm taking the monorail right back to my resort.
Yeah.
Or when you stay at Boardwalk and you're at Epcot, you're like, I'm just going to take a nice little stroll back to my resort. You deal with all the traffic and the buses and the trams.
Yeah, and that was exactly it. So it was so convenient. It was such a wonderful resort, and yeah, I'm absolutely in love with it now. And so that was our first of the trip, I guess. So we actually had a lot of firsts on this trip, which I know we've been to Disney a couple more times, but so this was our first time on the monorail, which honestly, we only rode the monorail twice while we were there. And that was once to get over to Magic Kingdom before we figured out that the boat was like, 100 times faster. So,
I would agree with that too. It's funny, like when we stayed there, we thought the same thing. Wow, monorail. Yeah, didn't use it so much. I would agree.
Yeah.
The boat is such a pretty trip too. It's such a nice, relaxing trip across too.
Oh, it is. It's so nice, right? And then also added bonus. So for anyone that wants a nice little bit of magic coming back to the resort, if you're staying at the Poly, if you leave Magic Kingdom about like 8:15, 8:30, you can actually catch the electrical pageant parade thing. Going across the water as you're coming back. So you can actually kind of watch it from the ferry boat as you're coming back to the resort. So we actually did that a couple of nights, and that was really, really nice.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I've done that too, and it's a neat thing to do.
Yeah, so that was our first. We did the monorail once to Magic Kingdom, and then we used it for Epcot. It was, hands down, like the only way I want to go to Epcot because it's so much nicer than a bus.
It is like the best way to go to Epcot because like you get there and then it takes you on almost like a mini tour of Epcot before you stop and then get off. It's like such a fun way to come in. It's like
Yeah, you get like that little bit of hype, you see well, we were there for Flower and Garden, so you see all the flower beds and Spaceship Earth and all that.
I thought that was nice too. Like I said, we enjoyed that as well when we went. That was not this time. This was a few years ago. I think we did Flower and Garden. Did they have the butterfly tunnel?
Yeah, they had the whole big butterfly area set up. We went in there.
I like that,
yeah. So that was awesome. What else was on our first? We did our first minivan, and we actually did use. So we took 2 minivans while we were there, and this was actually, we used them to get to and from Animal Kingdom, because we just didn't want to take the bus, and the minivan was just so much nicer. Nice. So yeah, we got the minivans to and from Animal Kingdom, and then one thing that that people should be aware of with the minivan is that they're not always available when you want them. So,
okay.
Yeah,
like
so
peak times, they're probably not available, right, when everyone's trying to use them?
Well, no, actually, it wasn't even that. It just kind of depends on if they're in the area or not. So they have them, moving around the resort, but if there's none if there's none close enough for the Lyft app to lock onto them, we actually had it. We were trying to get to Blizzard Beach one day, so we actually didn't leave the Polynesian until about 10 o'clock in the morning that we were leaving. So it wasn't like
park
time.
Opening time or anything like that. Yeah.
But we sat there and we were waiting and waiting and waiting, and we never got one, and so we finally gave up and we just got a regular Lyft, which it got us there in like 10 minutes kind of thing. But definitely a difference in, and not to bash on Lyft drivers. I mean, I still very much appreciate it, but there's a definite difference between a minivan and like a standard Uber or a Lyft. So
did you think it was worth the cost of how much it was, like for using that service?
So I thought that the minivan was really nice for me because the driver, he was very, the drivers we had, they were very personable. They were very, they were asking us how our day was going, talking about where we were going. As we were driving by, like we drove by Hollywood Studios, and the one guy was like, oh yeah, I heard that, they're working on Star Wars Land. Like for me, it was, I already knew all this stuff, but he was, trying to be very, forthcoming of information about the area we were driving through, which I think if you're not at Disney all the time,
if you're not a crazy Disney person like us,
yeah, exactly, yeah. For everybody else that isn't in this stuff all day long, I thought it was very nice. I thought it was a very nice addition to the ride. Like it's that very it's better than a bus, and it's very personalized, right? Like, it's a lot of one-on-one. And like I said, the difference was the Lyft driver, the guy picked us up. He was very nice. And then it was basically, a drive, like a 10-minute drive where we all kind of just sat there in silence because, he didn't want to talk. And I didn't know what to say, right? So
there's got to be some enterprising Lyft drivers out there that just need to learn a lot about Disney so they could try to copy that, right?
Yeah, maybe. But yeah. So like I said, there was that difference. And like I said, I honestly, if I could get I was trying to get the minivan, but just the fact that I couldn't get the minivan disappointed me a little bit. But so I guess for anyone that's looking to use a minivan, you do have to keep in mind that, yeah, definitely, prime time, like park opening, park closing kind of times, don't bet that you'll actually get one when you want one, but also just sometimes they're just not available. So you have to kind of be willing to concede that if you're going to use that kind of service, you may not actually get exactly what you want.
That's good to know because you can't rely on that completely. So
yeah.
Because I had no I assumed that there would be some sort of limitation to how many they're going to have out there and how many they're going to have available. But it's good to know that you had not good to know you had an issue, but for folks that are listening that might want to use that service to have a backup.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, like I said, it wasn't like earth shattering. It's just something to keep in mind. And yeah, so. Yeah, that was good. Overall, my minivan experience was good for the times we did get minivans. Outside of that, other things that we did as first. So this was actually, or I'll go into this next. So special events and restaurants and kind of stuff. So the first special event we did was we actually did the dessert party for Happily Ever After. And oh my gosh, those fireworks.
They're amazing, right?
They like, I could not get the song out of my head for for 5 days after we got back. And every night even better, when you're staying at the Polynesian, they pipe the music to the beach on the Polynesian. So, if you get back to your hotel early enough for the fireworks, you get to hear and watch it every night. And yeah, I was absolutely in love with it. And so we did the dessert party, and this time we did it a little different. So when we did the Halloween dessert party, we did the Tomorrowland Terrace dessert party, which you actually sit on Tomorrowland Terrace and you watch the fireworks from there, which I found out is actually not really the optimal place to be watching the fireworks from.
There's the trees, because I did the same one, except I did it during Christmas, and the trees kind of block your view of the castle, I feel like. Yeah,
exactly. It's not straight on, and you're kind of blocked. So they actually had another option that I found out about, which is the Plaza Garden dessert party. So you still go into a seating area in Tomorrowland Terrace, but then you go there about it's about an hour before the fireworks. You sit down, you have your desserts and everything, same as what you would get on the terrace dessert party. But then they say to you, from here you have to get up and you have to go out to a reserved area in the hub. And that reserved area doesn't have any seating. It's just one of those grassy areas that they have roped off, and you watch the fireworks from there. It's actually cheaper than the Tomorrowland Terrace fireworks, but in my opinion, it's much better. And I almost shouldn't be saying this because they're going to catch on and they're going to start charging more for it. But so what we did was, when we went into the viewing area, so it's a big grassy area, and it wasn't crowded at all. Like it was actually kind of funny because we were, all the people in the hub outside of that area, were all cramming in and jockeying for spaces and all that kind of stuff. And we went into this nice grassy area, and everybody was trying to move up to the front. Everyone was trying to sit at the like as close as they could to the castle, and that's actually a mistake, believe it or not. Because everybody was, sitting down, they were all moving like towards the front of the gate. We walked to the very back, and we just stood against the rail at the back of that grassy area, and we had a completely unobstructed view of the fireworks from there. So there was nobody standing in front of us. There's nobody, moving around or anything. And so we just, we stood there, we leaned against the fence, and we watched the fireworks. And that was our first experience of Happily Ever After, which I think is, a really, really nice way to introduce yourself to it.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
How was the food? I got to know that.
The dessert party, it was about the same as we did in September. So same kind of desserts. I guess it's your standard, like you can get macaroons and velvet cupcakes. I'm trying to think what else. There was a sundae bar. There's also fruit and cheese and stuff too if you don't want to go into a sugar coma.
I don't know what you're talking about because those things don't even exist to me at a dessert party. That's not even.
I was trying to not completely do myself in on the first night, so
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. So it was kind of what to expect from a dessert party. There wasn't anything really unique to it. It was your standard trays of stuff. I do actually recommend also, if anyone is looking to do a dessert party, get there early because we found we got there right as it opened, and we had plenty of time to sit down, get all of our stuff and eat. And about 20 minutes later, everybody else showed up, and like the line was like down the ramp and around the corner for people lining up for the desserts and everything. It was just absolutely chaotic. So if you are considering something like that, definitely get there early, because then also too, you don't have to, sit around and wait or anything. You can get up and leave and go over to the other area as you see fit. So, all in all, that was a good experience. Other things that we did as far as restaurants go, we did our first time at the Primetime 50s Diner, which
I love that place.
Yeah, it's so much fun. We plan to go back there, and actually between and not to bash on Sci-Fi Dine-In Theater, between Primetime and Sci-Fi, I actually think I like Primetime more because it just it was a much more enjoyable interactive experience, I guess. In sci-fi, I don't feel like you're just kind of sitting in the cars.
Yeah, you don't have that same kind of. There's not like the waiter is not playing a character at sci-fi like they are at 50s or a Whispering Canyon, which we'll talk about later. But
we'll get into the interactive part of the meals later. But yeah, so our experience at Prime Time, again, this was our very first time there. Our waiter was very nice. He told me, to stop using my phone at one point because I was trying to take a picture, and I had to apologize to it was Uncle Gary, and he kind of scolded me a bit, but it was fun. So, and okay, let's see, what else did I do that I want to talk about that's new?
Pandora stuff.
Pandora. Yeah,
you didn't do Pandora your last trip, right?
Well, we did. So we did Flight of Passage on our last trip, but we didn't actually spend a lot of time in Pandora itself. So this time around, there was two things that we did there that were kind of interesting. One we got on Navi River Cruise, which I liked it. It was a very nice ride, very pretty ride, but way too short. And
yeah.
So
that's the big knock on that one.
Oh, yeah.
No, I think that the shortness, too, also affects... My big thing about that ride is, and I actually like that ride a lot. I wish there was... You have a lot of turns, right? So you're condensed a little bit. But with so many turns, I feel like I should never have to see another boat. If I was never seeing another boat, that ride would be awesome.
And also for the size of the boats, too. They're so small that... because they only fit they were 2 rows, right? So
it's like 4 people in each boat or something. It's small.
Yeah. So you're right. It would be nice if it felt a little more intimate,
secluded, right? Because that's the whole point of that, right? You're in this secluded forest. Well, give me a little more of a feel about that.
Yeah. So yeah, and like I said, it was nice, but I mean, honestly, if I have to look at the 2 rides, Flight of Passage, I will most likely try to do again. Navi River Cruise, I'll do it if I don't have anything else to do in Animal Kingdom. Honestly, it's sad to say, but yeah, it wasn't our highlight of the trip. The other thing we did there too that happened while we were there. So there's it was a show that goes on every once in a while, and it's like these drummers that come out, and the whole the whole theme of the show is so they had learned this chant and everything from the Navi, and so it's very interactive. Like they start off and they're doing drumming, and it's like it's this area down in Pandora where you can hit different things and they make sounds, and you can actually see the little pulses of light, it's going through the tree trunks and everything. And so they come out and they start doing this thing where they're drumming, and they were trying to do this chant so that the banshees up in the rocks and everything could hear them. And so they actually got people involved. By the end of it, they had everybody chanting and drumming and everything. And it was kind of a fun little impromptu thing. It wasn't, a proper sit-down show or anything. It was just, you just happen to be in the area, and then one of these things starts up. And I thought that was really nice, and I thought it fit the area, it fit the area very nice because there is nothing really stage show-like there, right? So that was kind of neat, and I like that. That actually stood out to me more than the ride, because actually I think it took longer than the ride.
Did you get to see the big dumb paper mache robot?
No, we didn't.
Okay. Paper mache? What?
Yeah, I mean, it's...
You noticed how he knew exactly what I meant, Tom.
Yeah,
I did know exactly what you meant, but paper mache. I don't know.
No, I was looking for him, and no, we didn't see him, but we did stay around. And the only reason that we even saw that show that I was talking about is that after we got off the ride, it was into the evening, and we were staying around to wait for the sun to go down so we could see Pandora at night. So we could see everything lit up and all that. Which again, super nice, awesome area to just hang out in if it wasn't so darn busy.
Yeah, it gets super busy at night. I mean, it was like, again, one of those things where I was happy to see it once. But wait, I kind of zoned out there for a little bit. Did you talk about the food? You already mentioned the food last time you were there, right? You ate there last time or no?
Well, we got the drink from there. We actually haven't eaten the food from there because my wife. Really good. Yeah, I meant to try it, but my wife, or I shouldn't blame it on her because I didn't disagree with her, but we were thinking about where to eat, and she was like, "Let's go to Flame Tree," and I was like, "Yeah, I want Flame Tree." So
Trevor, that's literally the exact same thing that happened to me. I was like, "Let's go eat at
food is really good.
Yeah, let's go eat at what is it, Satuli Canteen?" And my wife's like, "Let's go to Flame Tree," and I'm like, "Okay, well, that's fine, but I really want to go to this place, but okay, we'll go to Flame Tree. Flame Tree's always good."
Yeah, that's the problem is, I think that was something that kind of happened on this trip too, is we figured out stuff on our last trip that we liked. And so we kind of, a few times we gravitated back to those things that we knew that we liked. So we didn't go out of our comfort zone to experiment and everything. And you're right. I absolutely wish that I went to Satuli Canteen because I know what you're talking about, Damon, is that the food there is supposed to be really unique and, good. So I did want to try it, but by the time I realized it, we were already eating at Flame Tree, so I just kind of went, oh well. But we did go and get the Night Blossom again, though, which is a really, really nice drink.
Is that the one that has like the little I don't want to call them little balls. I don't know what they are.
I don't know what those orbs are, but they're full of like some fruit juice or something. But again, just great drink to have if it's...
Wait, but the boba thingies?
Yeah, the boba, is that what it is?
Yeah, whatever those ball
Someone's
things
going to write in and tell us what, the right thing, so...
we did have the Night Blossom again, which I found that one last time it's really good. It's like passion fruit and a bunch of other stuff in there.
We gotta hear about your review of The Void.
Yes, I was actually just going to get to that. So
it's got to be like a spoiler-free review. I mean, if it's a review, since I haven't gone yet.
This is going to be hard.
Here's the question for me: was it worth the money? Because really, that just tells me everything.
All right, so let me explain how our Friday went. We got to Disney Springs, and I had an 11 o'clock reservation for The Void, and so me and my son went in, and we did it, and then we went off and we got some lunch at Polite Pig, and then we came back and we did The Void again. So
you did it twice?
Yeah, we did it twice in one day.
So that says something right there.
And
so wait, it's not completely booked up though. You can go there same day and walk in.
It's usually not.
Yeah,
and I don't know if it's because people don't know about it or if it's just that side north of being expensive enough. And you know what I mean? I don't know.
And it is expensive. So I mean, for the two of us, I believe
it's $70.
Yeah, it was $70 for the two of us. So I mean, that's why I said, let's go have lunch and let's think about it before we come back again. But I also realized it was one of those things where I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be back here again for a long time. I want to do it again because it was. The thing about it is that even doing it the second time, there is so much going on in it that, like, my son and I didn't have the same experience. And I don't want to get too spoilery, but we weren't always looking at the same thing. It doesn't actually force you to, it does at certain points, but there's spots where you actually end up both doing different things. So doing it again meant that we could see more of it. Like there was more details, more little things that we didn't catch the first time. And also being that we, kind of knew what to expect after the first time, we were a little more prepared and able to do things more efficiently, I guess. So
it is the same storyline though every time.
Yes.
It's just, but you can experience it differently because you kind of have a lot of freedom in what you're doing, right?
Yeah. And so okay, I'm sorry. I have to give like a tiny little spoiler to it. You do end up getting a blaster in it. So, and the only reason I say that is, so for an example, when my son first got his blaster, he shot up the room we were in, which alerted everybody to our presence a lot sooner than I necessarily wanted them to be. And the second time around, we didn't do that. So things played out a little bit differently.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
But that's like really interactive. The fact that you were like just shooting up that room, just messing around, made the story move forward a little bit quicker.
Yeah, and just like everything, and I guess Damon. So to like I know you've done a lot of VR and stuff. The thing that was different for me on this was that you know how when you're doing VR, how when there's stuff around you, like you can put your hand through it, right? Like it's never never really there.
Yeah.
When you put your hand out, and for starters, like you can actually see your hand.
Yeah, I saw that part of it. Yep.
And when you actually when you touch something and it's actually there. It's actually a little jarring at first. Like because you actually kind of forget that you're in VR because you're actually interacting with everything in the environment. And that to me made it a lot more enjoyable than anything I've done with VR. And the same as you, like I've played a lot of VR games and I've done a lot of cool VR stuff, but this was really next level because it had all of the tactile stuff. Like you could feel when you were getting shot at. You could feel that. You could feel like you go into a room or you're on the lava planet, right? And you can feel the heat from the lava. Like all those little details, and it's all that. Like I know it's not Disney, but it's all that Disney type stuff. Like when you get on Soarin', how you can smell things and all that kind of stuff. Like it was that level of interactivity. Yeah. It was. And it made it super enjoyable. I wish it was longer, but at the same time, I can understand why they can't make it any longer because it is start to finish a self-contained story, but it's really a good premise for how VR can go. Like if we start seeing more and more of this kind of stuff, I would be super happy because it is that next level of just interactivity, right? I don't know how else to say it. It was good.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. And yeah, I want to, part of me wants to, just tell you guys start to finish how it was, but I don't want to spoil it over it because it was just, there was so many cool little bits in it that just really blew me away. And it was just, it was fun. And like I said, my son came out and right away, the first thing he said was, can we do it again? And the fact that, me as the father didn't instantly go, no. And I had to kind of go, well, okay, let me think about this. Like, I mean, I think that says a lot.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. That definitely says a lot. So Damon, you're going on your next trip, right? You're scheduled to do it on your trip?
I mean, I don't have tickets yet, but yes, we're that's part of the plan. I'm going soon. Like, I kind of keep forgetting that. Like, I'm going in like 1, 2, 3 weeks, maybe.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes, you are.
Soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are going soon.
Yeah, well, it kind of crept up on us. I still don't have tickets or anything yet, but yeah.
Yeah,
you probably book that.
Yeah, and I mean, booking it was more.
I don't even have park tickets either. That's what I was saying.
But yeah, booking the Void. So when we booked it initially, there was only 2 of us there because we also got there fairly early in the morning, and I think it also gets busier later in the day because
it seems like that might be a night thing as people finish up the park. Yeah, again, I think the other thing, Tom, with the Void is that becomes a little interesting is, right, and I'm so, Trevor's a big Star Wars fan, so I can see this, but for people that are coming, especially from far and don't come often, it is not a must-do, right? So I think that's also why it doesn't, get super packed as of yet. That's my take. I think once Star Wars Land takes off and there's this whole thread throughout everything, I think it might be a little different.
And I would agree with you on that, is that I think it's just not quite there yet where the level of Star Wars fanaticism is in the park. So even though it's there, but...
Yeah, and the price point still, because again, you're saying, 2 people, $70, half an hour.
Yeah. And yeah, I would agree. You're right. It's
I think the price point is
justify.
Fine.
Yeah.
Personally, but I could see how if you're debating between certain things and you're not there all the time, that, you know, you're going to probably flip on the other side. Like, you know, for us, I mean, my daughter's not going to do it, right? You have to be able to carry around, you know, some equipment with you, right? So, you know, she's just turned 8, you know, I don't think she wants to do it anyway, but like, she's not going to do it. So then that sits my wife out. Now think about it. If I had, you know, not such a great wife, right? She'd be like, whoa, where are you going? Like, you know, we got Disney to do. So, you know, but again, like, you know, for us, they'll go shopping. So, and with new Disney Springs, they'll be quite happy shopping.
They'll be pretty busy.
And that's a good point. Two things is one, the equipment. My son, when we got in there, the first thing he said was, "This is really heavy." Like I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to handle the
I want to say it's
helmet.
like it's 10 pounds for 30 minutes, something along those lines. I could be wrong, but that's what I thought.
I think it's even heavier than that. Like because it's not just VR goggles, like it's a full-on helmet with earphones and everything on it. So it's a lot more weight than a standard VR headset that I've worn before. So yeah, I mean, the headset was one thing, but then also you get the vest as well, which the vest, it doesn't, like, you know, stop you from moving, but you can definitely feel that it's you know, pulling down on your chest. So just keep that in mind if you got young kids. My son was just 10 years old when we did it, so he you know, complained about it for like the first 2 minutes, but then once we got in there, he was over the moon with all the effects and everything, so, you know, that didn't matter. So
Would you say like heavier or lighter than like a standard like laser tag vest? Like if you
definitely heavier.
A lot heavier. Okay.
Yeah, they actually have it on, like when they put you into it, they've actually got a rig system, so it's actually held up on the rig system, and they get you to kind of get into it and tighten everything up first, and then they release it, and then you can kind of feel everything, like you can feel the weight of everything. So it's nothing like a regular laser tag or VR setup that I've seen. So
I feel like I'd come out of that needing like a back massage or like a chiropractor.
It says 10 pounds.
Okay. So I mean,
I had to look it up.
I guess yeah. With the way it's dispersed across your body, it can feel a bit heavier than that. So, and again, for young kids, you know, 10 pounds is a lot of extra weight.
When they weigh 40, 50 pounds.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to carry a fourth of my body weight around for 30 minutes, that's for sure.
Yeah, so yeah, keep that in mind. The other thing too, so just going back to the fact that we did it twice. The first time we went in, there was only 2 of us in there. And then the second time we went in, there was 2 of us, but they actually paired us with another 2 people. So that changed up the experience somewhat as well, because having more of us in there, it was actually a lot more hectic. So they do actually scale the experience to the amount of people as well. And I don't even know what the maximum is. I don't know if it's 4 or 6 that can go in at a time. Although I couldn't imagine them doing any more than 6, because some of those rooms are...
It's 4.
Okay, so it is 4, yeah. I was going to say, any more than that, the rooms don't support... like, they're not that big, right? So yeah, if there was more people than that, it would just get really, really crazy in there. But yeah, just having more people, we did notice, like my son and I definitely noticed a difference between the amount of action that was going on between just the 2 of us and with the 4 of us in there. So something to keep in mind. Yeah, it's awesome. Not a bad thing.
Yeah, that sounds awesome though.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I guess that's kind of the sum of my trip, is that, you know, we loved it and we can't wait to go back. So we're going back in January.
Nice. Sweet.
Yep.
Awesome. Sounds like you had a great trip. I definitely was. I noticed a lot of our listeners were looking at your videos and photos and liking them and commenting on them. So thanks for sharing those. That was really cool. So.
You're welcome.
Great. All right. Anything else you want to mention about that before we move on to some other things?
Nope. I think I've covered pretty much everything that was of interest to me for that trip.
All right, cool. Well, so, you know, we do like to usually start the show, you know, we started the show talking about Trevor's trip, but, you know, of course we always like to talk about some DVC news. And so one of the things that is out there, and this kind of came out a little bit after our last episode came out, was the DVC Member Cruises have been announced. And I know, Damon, you're a big cruiser, but I don't think you've done a member cruise before, right? I don't think
no.
Okay.
I don't see the allure.
Yeah,
but
I
that's
get it.
just me.
No,
It's interesting because I guess it just depends how you travel, right? So we usually travel when we cruise in our own group. I know a lot of people that travel cruise-wise by themselves, right? That's usually how it's done. And, they like the interaction of other people. And why not already, when you have one thing in common from the get-go, right? That's kind of cool, right? Forget about the swag, forget about all the other stuff. But, going in with something to talk about right from the get-go seems like it would be helpful when you sit down to dinner for the first time. So I can see the allure from that end. But again, I don't cruise like that. I cruise with people, like not just my family. So, for me, it doesn't really matter. Understand.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, so the member cruise is, regular Disney Cruise Line voyages, but they're specific to DVC members. So there's going to be a 5-night cruise along the Pacific coast and a 7-night cruise in Bermuda in 2019. And so these DVC member cruises do have some special things to them. They do have unique entertainment. They'll have speakers, they'll have celebrity guests. You'll get a gift in your stateroom every day, or every other day or something like that. You can use points and cash for these. Normally, to use your points towards a cruise, there would be the $95 fee for using that, but it is waived for the member cruise. These things tend to be super popular. So, booking begins for this on June 23rd. So if you are interested in doing this, you should definitely check it out. But for me, I'm kind of like you, Damon. I was looking at the price of this, which is extremely high, and I'm like, I don't know if I'd be interested in doing this. I would love to go on a member cruise, and I don't know, is it more expensive than a regular Disney cruise? Like, is the cost more? If we did the exact same itinerary, is it more expensive or more points?
I don't know.
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, my guess would be that it's not, but it's just they book up fast. Disney's so different than other cruise lines, right? The further out you book, the cheaper it is, rather than the closer you book, the cheaper it is, like a lot of cruise lines. So, it's a little different in general.
Well, this will book up quickly. From what I've heard in the member cruises in the past, they've booked up very fast. So I don't know if either one of you guys are interested in doing it, but I'm definitely not going to be doing it.
It reminds me, like I said, of an interesting story. So, we get into the DVC party on the cruise, right? And again, we're with our friends, and it's like, all right, we're gonna, kind of see, kind of chit chat and meet people and this and that and the other thing, and then you realize you're on a cruise. Like, I'm not at a mixer. I don't know. I'm not there to necessarily meet people. Now, what's funny is though I know a lot of people that's exactly what they do. And then they, cruise with those people for, the next, 50 years, right? They meet somebody on a cruise and then, that's their best friend and they go, we kind of have that built in. So I don't know how that would work, in general, but we got to the mixers and we're kind of like, all right, these people at DVC, we chit chat and then you walk away. So I don't know. I'd rather go on a Star Wars cruise than a member cruise. I hate to say it.
They should do a Star Wars member cruise. Then that would sell out really fast.
Double down.
I'm assuming that would be appealing.
I'd rather just go on a Star Wars cruise where there was like a Star Wars test, and like if you didn't pass it, you weren't allowed on. Like, you got to be serious about it. Now, if you want to get on, you got to be serious.
Now, would you take this test when you booked it? Because then that would be open
you
book.
can't cheat.
You
No.
Okay.
What would happen is, right? You would have to actually maybe call up to book, and it would be some random questions maybe.
Timed.
And if not, sorry, nope. And we put a black mark on your account now. Now you can't book for the whole year. You got to go back and study. Better go watch the episodes again. Come back next year.
Yeah, go watch all the movies and tell us how you did.
Yeah.
That'd be really funny. Wow. I didn't expect that conversation to go there. But yeah, no, that's definitely interesting. I don't know. I do like these member cruises. I think, as we talked about before, more benefits are always better. Although this is not, I don't know if I consider this a benefit or a member extra. I know they're doing extra things on the cruise and it's extra special, but for me, a member benefit or something special is not something I have to spend $10,000 on. So I don't know. That's maybe just me.
I mean, I guess it kind of depends on where you are, right? Like, I mean, for us, my wife doesn't do boats, period. So, anything cruise related is pretty much off the table, right? But,
yep.
But again, the this is one of those things that I like to Damon's points. I'm sure there's some people out there that they love these kinds of it's almost like a social event, right? Is, everybody gets together and you all have a common interest, and I mean, you all are on a boat for 7 nights, I guess. So, yeah, I mean, I like I said, I guess I know that there's people out there that this is an appeal for, because Disney wouldn't do this if there wasn't some sort of appeal for it. And the fact that it books up so quick says there is. And I guess maybe this is one for, our viewers, maybe if somebody can elaborate on how these things go or what the draw is, I guess, just because I don't think any of us really understand it.
I think there's a little bit of swag draw, right? Like, I think there's some of that.
Yeah.
And again, I think we happen to come together, right? Like, and besides you guys, I met somebody, in my area. It was funny, at the storage unit, who was like really big into Disney cruising. But, you don't necessarily get a lot of full-blown Disney discussion at a high level with random people that you meet. And I think some people yearn for that, because we have our outlet. That's a little bit of an outlet for them, as well as maybe finding a like-minded couple that they can, or family that they could travel with. I mean, it kind of points you in the right direction. It's like an eHarmony, start, right? You've already answered the questions. Your match profiles are getting closer, because like maybe it's something along those lines.
Yeah, so if any listeners out there have gone on a member cruise in the past, we'd love to hear from you about your experience, why it appeals to you, if you would do it again. I mean, we'd love to hear a little bit about that, because I think I'd like to hear some stories about that and some of your past experiences on that, because I think that would be great to share with a lot of our listeners who may be interested in this, and or maybe getting one of us interested in it, for future reference. So yeah, just definitely want to talk about that really quickly. And now we're going to talk about something that happened right after our last show came out. And this is, I like to call this the outrage of the week. I feel like I want to make a segment called the outrage of the week, because there's always one thing that changes, or one problem that happens where everybody on Facebook goes crazy, right? Everyone like loses their mind, and they're going to sell their membership, and they're done with Disney, and all that stuff. And and then there was a lot of conflicting reports about this too. So for those that don't know or haven't been, Whispering Canyon is a restaurant at Wilderness Lodge. It's right there in the lobby, and they do a lot of crazy stuff at this restaurant, right? So they do it's kind of Western themed, right? And so they'll play tricks on you at the table, like for example, one of my sister-in-law, when we were there, she ordered a milkshake, and they tied the bottom of her straw, so when she tried to drink out of her straw, she couldn't get any milkshake out. Or you ask for a large water, and they give you the largest mason jar you've ever seen in your entire life filled with water. That kind of stuff. There's a lot of noise that happens and things like that. And so there were some reports maybe a week and a half ago saying that they decided to stop all the shenanigans at Whispering Canyon. Although the latest report, it seems like they've just asked them to quiet it down. It's interesting to me, because I love this restaurant for the antics. Like, we've gone there in the past because we love the ridiculousness of it. We love the shenanigans that happen there. We love how silly they are, how rude they are. We love all that. At the same time, I've also been walking through the Wilderness Lodge lobby, where it's peaceful and serene, and you just hear all sorts of screaming and yelling to the left, and it kind of almost...
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it ruins the experience, but it's a weird... Like, if they closed it off and you couldn't hear that, then it would be different. But
it's a juxtaposition of the Wilderness Lodge, right?
Yes.
see, I don't feel that way at all. I feel like it's like when you want to get chicken wings, right? You can go to Buffalo Brothers, or you can go to a strip club, right? Like, so the decision is yours on where you want to go, right? And it's probably the same, quality of chicken wings, right? But the entertainment level is different. Now, I've never personally been to a strip club, so I'm only speaking from what I can imagine it would be like.
I'm sorry, I love this analogy.
But I think that it's truly what it comes down to. Hey, listen, you don't want to stay at the Wilderness Lodge? Don't stay there. You don't want to have it loud. Don't go there. Like, don't ruin it for everyone, because there's people that like both places to eat their chicken wings, right? But I don't begrudge either one. And I think that's kind of how I feel about this whole situation is, look, don't go then. There's a million other places. Just don't go.
Yeah, and I do agree with you, Damon, is, I think, Whispering Canyon, it does have a reputation enough at this point that, I'd have to go look on the Disney website, but I'm pretty sure they even mention, antics and stuff like that. So,
they say like something like hootin' and hollering or something like that.
Yeah, so
antics,
it does kind of frame, the restaurant as, you're going to go in there and it's not going to be, you're not going to the Grand Floridian where, it's quiet and, everyone's proper and all that. You're going to like a mom and pa rowdy kind of place, right? So
exactly.
Yeah. So it sucks because all this tells me that with these reports is that, enough people got bent out of shape because they went in there and they weren't in the mood for it. And so they had a negative experience. Right. And I mean, it makes me sad that, we have to kind of pander to everybody being sensitive, I guess. And someone's going to get mad at me for saying that, and I'm sorry, but it's, I don't know how else to say it, is that, come on, guys, like, you want interactivity, you want, a unique experience, but if everybody keeps complaining about this stuff,
it's going to be like someone staying at the new Star Wars hotel and saying it's too Star Warsy.
or getting mad because a Jawa talked to them and, wanted to barter for, a thimble or something, right? Like,
that's what's going to happen. That's going to happen.
Yeah, you're right. It is.
So, and my opinion about this is, listen, I wish they wouldn't change it because I love the restaurant the way it is. I love how ridiculous they are. I love the yelling. I'll tell a quick story, and this is a unique situation, but it is kind of funny. I was there for Christmas a couple of years ago, and we were, and those of you that have been to the resorts around Christmas time, a lot of the resorts, they have carolers come in where they're dressed really, in costume, and they come in and they beautifully sing these Christmas carols in the lobbies of these resorts. Well, I'm at Wilderness Lodge, I'm at Whispering Canyon, and these carolers come in, and so our waitress comes over and she goes, we're quieting down a little bit because the carolers are here, right? And not 5 seconds later, one of the other waiters starts screaming, "We need ketchup!" like at the top of his lungs. And our waitress runs over to him and goes, "We're supposed to be quiet." So in that situation, totally get it. They've got the carolers in there, just take it down a notch for a couple minutes. But it just was the funniest thing because he was not a second later, this guy starts screaming right after our waitress told us they were going to quiet it down so everyone could hear the carolers. So I don't know what to make of all this because and I haven't seen a lot of people that have been posting that have said I'm there and this is not happening. I've just seen a lot of people posting, the responses that they've seen from Disney about it being toned down, but I don't know what toned down means. I don't know if it just means they're not being loud anymore. Like, I mean, are they still going to come up to my table and throw a million straws on the table? Because, I mean, even that kind of stuff I love, So I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, like what I've heard is, that like the whole ketchup thing, because that's a big thing is, you ask for ketchup and, they get everybody from every table to bring their ketchup to you. And apparently they don't, I heard they don't do that anymore, or that's been the report. And again, we need a little bit more clarity on this, but
nobody seems to know. Nobody seems to know what the answer to this is right now.
Yeah. But in listening to all this, it almost sounds to me like, the restaurant's kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time, so to speak, in that, I think if it was the same restaurant, but they removed it from the lobby of the Wilderness Lodge and put it somewhere where, you kind of knew where you were going and you knew like you had to, make an effort to go there. It wasn't just, off the lodge where, people are checking in and they're kind of going, what the heck is going on over there and all that. I think if that was the case, I don't think this would be as big of a deal as it is. And I think
totally.
And listening like to your story, Tom, about, the carolers and everything, is I wonder if that's where Disney's having the conflict, is not that, people are necessarily upset about the experience, but they're trying to, keep the Wilderness Lodge theme going. And then there's like this one corner where everyone's yelling and screaming and everything. And they don't know how to deal with it.
That's exactly right. I tend to believe any complaints that they would have gotten wouldn't necessarily be from the restaurant patrons, would be more from the people that are standing in the lobby that don't want to participate in that. And then are hearing it, right there. I do think it would be completely different if that restaurant was completely closed off and you couldn't hear any of the antics from the lobby. Like, no one would complain about that because they wouldn't hear it. They wouldn't know what was going on. So I don't know. It's disappointing, and I hope they figure out a way to make it work. Even if maybe they say, okay, from this hour to this hour, we can be crazy, and then after this time, it's a little bit quieter, so guests aren't complaining. I don't know, but it is disappointing to hear.
Okay, all right. Here, I got the answer. Okay, we're gonna take Whispering Canyon and we're gonna move it to the Haunted River Country Resort.
Yes, that's exactly.
Okay, is everyone on board?
Did we talk about that in the last show?
You did, and I did listen to the last episode, so I'm up to date
like
on
my best
everything you
idea
guys were
ever.
talking about.
Yeah.
Is that Trevor's building on your idea for a resort, Damon? That's
I
So
like that. I like
move
that. So
Whispering Canyon there,
yeah.
and it can have its own little place, and
Awesome.
there you go.
Yeah, it's that's a great idea. That's perfect. They are clearing land in that area. Oh no, I'm sorry. They're clearing land in where the rumored Epcot hotel is. But we're actually not going to talk about that today. But I'm sure everyone's tired of hearing us talk about the rumored Epcot hotels until we know anything more firm. So
we'll wait until there's framework there before we talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. So, anything else you guys want to say about this before we move on? Because we do want to keep going here, but it's disappointing to hear. I do kind of understand it though, as much as it stinks that it's happening. So, okay, great. So really quickly here, some quick highlights. The annual theme park attendance report was released. We actually talked about this last year on an episode, and so wanted to re-bring it up again. Just kind of some of the different things that we are noticing from the theme park report. Disney parks had a record year of growth, which was 6.8%. It was a huge growth across their whole all of their parks. Animal Kingdom surpassed Epcot in attendance for the first time. Basically because of Pandora. I think we predicted this last year when we talked about this on the show. Is that this was going to happen, right?
Yeah,
so it's not surprising at all to anybody.
Yeah, I couldn't see how this wouldn't happen, just because Pandora is it was the latest, greatest thing for 2017. Also, I think this also speaks to Epcot and the state that it's in right now.
True.
Because there's a lot of work that needs to be done at Epcot. And really, I think this is okay, though, because I think that these, like, you shouldn't have it that, there's always one park that's beating everything else. Although I know Magic Kingdom is, that park, but
it is, yeah.
But I think it's good that they're actually starting to rotate the other parks, right? You are starting to see incentive that, people don't all want to be in Magic Kingdom all the time. So,
well, and truth be told, we fully expect, right, that once Star Wars opens, that Hollywood Studios is going to blow all three of all of them out of the water except Magic Kingdom, right? It can't surpass Magic Kingdom.
Okay,
I can't see that.
Toy Story Land and Star Wars Land together, I could see it happening.
Wow, that'd be crazy.
I think Star Wars is big enough. I know Toy Story is not the big one, but I think there's enough momentum there. I seriously think that park could do it.
Well, and interestingly enough, and it's funny because it almost feels like it's happening in stages, right? Where it's like, okay, so all the stuff opened last year in Animal Kingdom, and then this year Toy Story, and then next year Star Wars. So 18 and 19 are going to be great years for Hollywood Studios, and then probably 2020 Ratatouille is going to open, and Guardians of the Galaxy is going to open at Epcot, and maybe some more things that we don't even know about yet will be opening or being built. So then maybe Epcot makes a recovery. So it's a weird kind of tiered thing that they're doing. Not weird, it makes sense, but
yeah,
it's kind of funny how this is shaking out, but. So 2 million more people visited Animal Kingdom last year than they did before.
And they were all in line for flight passage.
They were all in line for flight, all at once in the morning, like at 6 o'clock in the morning.
That was those 6-hour lines that you were seeing.
Exactly. And then, so Shanghai Disneyland had 11 million guests last year, which is pretty great. Actually, Disneyland Paris grew by 15%, which is a big deal. And the thing I thought that was most interesting about this was Disney parks outgrew Universal for the first time since Harry Potter. So percentage-wise, obviously. Now, obviously, Universal was in the basement basically before Harry Potter, right? So they had a lot of room to grow. They were, when they did Harry Potter, they double digits every year, but it was kind of a flat year for Universal last year, which is not a terrible thing for them. It's not going down, right? But they didn't have any major attractions basically come out last year. So
Fast and the Furious, man.
Yeah, I was going to say they had Kong.
Yeah, and then Fast and the Furious is this year. Listen, here's the big thing, though. Their Halloween, because they have Stranger Things, is going to be bananas. So we're going because I can't not go. Like, how can you not go?
Do they have like the Upside Down? Is that what it is?
That's what they're doing. Yes, they are.
That's really cool.
So we're going. We're driving to Florida 10 hours, going for a day, and driving back home.
Wow.
We're going to do it. We're going to do it.
That's amazing.
Just for that. So I'd be curious to see what the numbers look like in October because of that.
And so here's the other thing with Universal is, they're kind of leveling out right now. They also have Nintendo Land coming.
Which again, could be bigger than Star Wars. As crazy as that sounds, they could.
I don't see it.
You'll have the two of them side by side, right? They will both. They're different demographics, and they're both powerhouses.
I don't know about that. You think they're different demographics?
I know lots of video game geeks that don't like Star Wars, believe it or not.
That's
okay, but you also must know people that don't play video games that love Star Wars.
That's also true.
Yeah,
because I do, right?
The two aren't required.
I think what we have to remember is, right, so when we break down those numbers, is outside of the U.S., right? Outside of the U.S., Star Wars is still a phenomenon. Let's be real about it.
That's true.
But does it compete with Mario? I don't think so, right? Most recognizable characters in the world, it's Mario.
Yeah,
right?
Mario is the biggest in the world.
Exactly. So I think that we have to make sure that we keep that outside of the U.S. and even Canada centric mentality that it could be bigger because of that.
I don't know. For me, I love games. I think I'm more interested in Star Wars than Nintendo.
But you're in the United States, right?
That's true.
The creator of Mario is a national hero outside of the United States, right? In his country, he is a Michael Jordan, right? So think about that, right? So I think it will be interesting. It just depends on how they do it. And remember, the big knock is they just don't have the land to make an expansion.
They don't,
like Star Wars does, unless they buy up some of that old land that they gave back. Still a theory.
Yeah,
but anyway.
But they also have the creator of Mario backing the whole thing. So I mean that's like having like a huge Imagineer but specific to Nintendo.
Sure.
In your back pocket.
I mean, just hearing about some of those rides, which is all conjecture at this point, they all sound absolutely ridiculous.
Well, they haven't even announced Nintendo Land yet, right? It's announced.
It's announced. It's officially announced. Yes,
I thought it was still just rumored.
No, there's a video you should watch too.
Okay,
it's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah, it's officially announced.
I can't wait until they make me make my car if it's the Mario Kart coaster that but it'll be like Nintendo Labo where I'll have to make the car out of cardboard before I can ride the ride or something.
That's the queue line when just kind of like Test Track where you got to build your car. Yeah, which I do enjoy that. But anyway, so I thought these were interesting just because of some of the different things that changed, and I thought it was interesting that Disneyland Paris grew. Since now. Disney has taken over that park completely, because that one has always been a big struggle. And I mean, everyone's been talking about how busier the parks, how much busier the parks were last year, and now they can feel vindicated because they really were, because everything did grow and everything in general grew. So let's move on to a couple other things. Our new segment we have here called DizTech. Really quickly here, 2 patents that I both think have completely everything to do with the Star Wars hotel. I don't know about you guys, but I'm looking at these and I'm thinking Star Wars Hotel, right? And actually, I'm amazed at the amount of patents that they've been filing that all seem to be for the Star Wars Hotel. I mean, this place is going to be crazy tech. I mean, over the top tech. But they filed another patent for lightsaber-based augmented reality, and so. This looks really cool, and I'm not going to like blow over these things. I just want to mention both of them in one breath here. But lightsaber-based augmented reality, and also they filed a patent for a narrative system as well, where basically it's a development of what they call a procedural system for emergent narrative construction. Now that's a fancy way to say basically when users are going to input data, and the system is going to construct a narrative based on that data. Which sounds
Westworld, like they said.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So if anybody's watched Westworld, kind of like that, right? So,
Dude, and if you listen, as a sidebar here, if you've watched Westworld, go watch the original. It is much better than you think. The second one is horrible, but the first one is really good.
The first movie?
It holds up
Yeah.
well. Yeah, the actual movie.
the show was great though
70s.
too. The show's great.
The show is great too, but you know what? That movie from the 70s is absolutely phenomenal. The second episode, the part 2, I don't even know what they called it. It was absolutely garbage, but the first one, well worth watching. Sidebar.
No, I like the side note. So, just really quickly to explain everything, the patent for the augmented reality system for the lightsabers, basically it's an augmented reality system for providing an AR experience to a user of an AR venue. Includes a hardware processor, a memory, light detector, a display. Blah blah blah.
It all sounds horrible coming out of Tom's mouth.
It does,
One of us
doesn't
should
it?
have read that.
Well,
Yeah, basically this means you put on glasses and then you can actually see the lightsaber out in front of you and move it around like you would a real lightsaber, and it can actually interact with things. So like you can hit something and you'll get that. You'll get that, the spark and everything, but it's all done through augmented reality is like an overlay. Instead of VR where your vision is completely blocked, you can still see your surroundings, but it's like
Pokemon, whatever that's called.
Yeah.
What's that called
like
again?
Pokemon Go.
Exactly. Like Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you guys read these things and think anything? But I mean, I can see some of them being used in Star Wars Land too. But the hotel this screams hotel.
Now this is going to be tough because when you're doing some sort of AR, depending on. So to me, it's kind of like Trevor said, right? Is it going to be something where you're standing in front of a big screen like the Jedi training and people see it, right? Then I could see that being in Star Wars Land, But if it's something where you're putting on glasses, right? Then that is specifically towards you. And then you're going to have something like that at the hotel, right? It depends exactly how they AR, right? Because there are kind of, like I said, you can look at that two ways, right? You look at Pokemon Go, where like someone's looking at the screen as you're playing. The person that's up there gets a little bit of force feedback and kind of see what's going on. Or is it going to be something with glasses? I think that they'll use something in both places. It might just be a little different.
Yeah, I feel this is going to be like a controlled, like in a room, like a Jedi temple or something like that, where they can really define the use case for it. Like if they just had it out in the open in Star Wars Land.
Here's something that's also interesting too, right? So we talk about the Void, right? And let's talk about Disney business practices for a quick second, right? Mm-hmm. There is nothing to say that the Void doesn't get kicked out and something like this takes its place as they take all their data in from what the Void is doing. Yeah. Right? Let's also kind of keep that in mind, right? That's not something that we haven't seen before business practice wise from Disney. I'm not saying good or bad, right? Their show, right? Their land, their show, they do whatever they want. But it's another interesting thought.
Go ahead, Trevor. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, and the thing to keep in mind is that it's not, necessarily them kicking out the Void. It's just, they may decide, to shut down Star Wars Secrets of the Empire. And then in a lot of cases, they do partner with companies like the Void to build out the next experience. So it could be that the Void is like the pilot for this kind of thing, and then you're going to go next level where you're not playing a 20-minute story where you've actually got a lightsaber, you're doing Jedi training or something like that.
I do believe that Disney is an investor in the Void. I could be wrong about this, but I do believe they own a part of the Void. So just want to throw that out there. Of the company. Of the actual company that builds the
I would have to go and look, but I wouldn't doubt that.
I believe I read that they are an investor in that company.
Fact check before you bring that up, please.
I believe I've read that, so I could be wrong. But yeah. So I mean, I could see what you're talking about, where they would develop their own technology and kind of not necessarily kick them out, but I guess kick them out, right? Yes, they did invest in it. I am correct. So I did look it up for you guys, and I did figure it out. So I am correct. They are an investor. It was part of their accelerator. They do have a tech accelerator, and they did invest in them. So okay, so I wasn't wrong about that. Anyway, I could see them using this, like you said, as at like a temple, like a Jedi temple type thing, either in Star Wars Land or in the hotel. I also think this could have applications as well in the Void. I'm also thinking though too that there could be a lot of opportunity with that narrative system too. Like, how are they going to use that? Are they going to use that to shape how you interact with Star Wars Land? Are they going to use that to how you interact with the hotel? How the robots interact with you? I think there's a lot of interesting possibilities along with that.
Yeah, I mean that to me sounds like I'm envisioning you get to the hotel, you give them a bunch of information, you kind of hint as whether you're a new Order supporter or a Rebel supporter or whatever, and then they take all that stuff together, and then it prompts who you're going to meet, what kind of stuff you're going to be involved in, and all that kind of stuff. So. Yeah, I mean, I can't see them not doing this, especially for the amount that they've been selling the Star Wars Hotel as being an interactive thing. You need a system like this to make it work. Exactly.
Speaking of Star Wars Land, an opening season has been revealed for both of the parks.
Yay! So far away, though.
It feels really far away, but it'll be here before you know it. So, opening at Disneyland Resort in the summer of 2019 and in late fall 2019 at Walt Disney World. For me, I look at those and I kind of don't know what that means. Right? So, because summer to me is like when it gets hot here, right? But obviously the official start of summer is different from when it feels like summer. I don't know. I mean, do you think in Disneyland they try to open a Memorial Day weekend? Is that too early in summer? And then my question is, I'm planning on going to the parks next October, the first week of October. That's not late fall, I guess, right? Would you consider late fall like November, December? I don't know.
So if I'm looking at like when spring, summer, fall, winter officially starts, so summer starts June 21st. So then you're talking end of June that it would open up in Disneyland, which makes sense because then, it's right into summer, and like July, August, it'll be crazy, and kind of like how they're doing Toy Story Land, right? It'll be like that. The fall 2019, fall technically runs up until December because winter doesn't start till December 21st. So which doesn't make sense to me in any way. And to me, so here's the weird thing is that you have Halloween and you have Christmas in there as well. So you got Halloween parties, Christmas parties, and all those decorations going on. You're going to fit in the launch of Star Wars Land in there as well.
To literally the busiest time of the entire year.
Yeah.
Like the very busiest time is November, December, and you're going to launch the biggest land you've ever launched. I don't know. It sounds like a nightmare to me.
Yeah, but I'm sure they have reasoning for it. I know we had talked about the one in Disney World, they're further behind on construction for some reason. So I mean, it makes sense that
whose dog is barking? Who doesn't like Star Wars Land?
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't hear anything.
You can hear him?
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
He's like downstairs. Okay.
He's mad. He's mad about Star Wars Land.
Yeah, clearly he objects to this.
He objects.
Yeah.
Does this?
But he can go, right? Can he go?
No.
Is there going to be a Star Wars pet area now as well?
No.
Are you sure? You don't know. They
don't.
could dress them up in the cantina. There could be a dog cantina.
David, I feel like the only thing that would make you get to Disneyland is the fact that you could get to Star Wars Land like 4 or 5 months earlier.
Right? I have a hard time with this as well because this kind of throws all of my plans, for a big loop. So we're talking about really going twice. I mean, obviously, I'll never go to Disneyland, so that's off the table. But when we talk about Disney World, man, it's going to make me have to go twice that year.
Well, that's the problem. It's like, how do you plan when you? I mean, it's so vague to say late fall. I mean, That could
Wait,
be.
which one is it? Disneyland is when? And Disney
Disneyland
World?
is summer, and then Disney World is late fall.
Man, that's so tough.
I know, because we don't know what that means, right? Like, I can plan my trip for the first week of October, but I don't think it'll be open by then. Maybe they'll be in previews.
But here's the thing:
Maybe.
you can't, just like I really can't, right?
Yeah.
Kids are in school, right? That's tough, man.
It's tough.
Right, so you're gonna have, again, since my oldest will be in high school, I can't just whip him out for a week, because trust me, if he wasn't in high school, we'd be going when it opens. But because we don't know that, it's the only other thing I can possibly think about is that they already know how to deal with those crowds, right? Those crowds are going to be max capacity no matter what they do. This is almost a way to kind of just open it up with max capacity built in. You kind of know what I'm saying, though? Like, it's like you're already going to be at max capacity. Well, what does it matter if you open another land, really? Rather than trying to put it in a time that's usually not max capacity and then dealing with all the repercussions of what that means to your business.
I'm just imagining people showing up to go into Star Wars Land and being told by like 9:30, it's like, park's closed, we're over capacity. And being people just being
so they
pissed.
had that in. Listen, they had that at Universal. I know we don't. That doesn't happen a lot at Disney, but I mean, you guys have been to Harry Potter or no? Neither one of you?
No, not yet.
I have not. I'm not a big.
Anyway,
Harry
the
Potter fan.
lands are rather small, right? So what ends up happening is they can be closed, just straight up closed, right? The rest of the park is open, and just Harry Potter. Too bad for you, it's closed. Like, it happens. Like, so there's not like there isn't a precedence set in the Florida area because of that, right? But I mean, I see that as a possibility. I mean, I think that they would do something like that they do at Harry Potter, where Star Wars is shut down. You know what I mean? Not like all of everything, but just Star Wars is shut down. So a little bit.
I think with that though, they really have to set expectations for it, because
Harry Potter was the same way, though, right? Listen,
right.
Again, we talk about Star Wars and Harry Potter, and just in terms of audience, I don't think they're that far off, man. Like, I think they're pretty close in terms of straight up audience and demographic of both of those. And by every measurement, Harry Potter was way smaller than Star Wars plans to be, and they turn people away. I mean, it is what it is.
And this is going to be a much, much, much larger land than the Harry Potter. Like you're saying, there's going to be a lot more space in these Star Wars lands.
So, I mean, but I think they'll turn people away. I think that 100% is going to happen, at least in the beginning. I think that people will be turned away. I mean, have people ever been turned away at Pandora yet?
Yeah, that happened when it launched. Yeah. They said, no, you can't come in. So
that's life.
Yeah, I guess, so that's the case is, don't plan to be there day one unless you're going to, get up at 6 a.m. to get into the park.
Yeah, exactly. People are going to camp overnight.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, actually,
that's
you're
gonna
right.
If Disney lets them, people are going to camp overnight at the park entrance. I mean, I don't think Disney will let them, but people would. But I'm thinking to myself, man, even if I'm not sure that it would be open by October, I'm going to have to book this 11 months out, and I'm going to have to book my home resort. Because I mean, you don't think so? No, you still won't do it, Damon?
No, I don't think it's going to be necessary. I really don't. I mean, unless you're talking about being there in the first 3 weeks of its official opening date. No, I don't think so.
And I agree, because I mean, people who are in DVC, they're not thinking the same way as people that are going for that once in a lifetime trip. That you can always go back when you want, right? So
here's the thing: I'm gonna play something in Tom's memory that he's not aware of yet, Trevor. So when your daughter is looking to go to Disney, right, for the first time, are you gonna give two rats butts about Star Wars? You're not.
Probably not. No, I mean,
exactly.
That's
think about
true.
it again. We have to continue to think about the demographic, right? Like the demographic of who's going to Disney and how that percentage breaks down.
Well, and my wife and I have already talked about this. We might avoid that altogether when we go in October, because we're going to have my daughter will be
avoid
1.5 years, all of Star Wars Land. Like, because my daughter will be 1.5 at that point.
Why do you think Star Wars Land is going to be open? Didn't we just have this
it might not be. No, I'm just saying.
It's not going to be.
I know, it won't be. It won't be. But even if it was, we would just avoid that whole area anyway, because my daughter's going to be 1.5. We're going to be focused on other places and other things.
You're going to be waiting like all the rest of the chumpy parents at the poo ride, like we all had to. That's what you're going to be doing? You're
I
gonna
like the Winnie the Pooh ride.
Yeah, well, wait till the line's 2 hours and you got to sit through it with a 1.5-year-old. I mean, you're going to have to because we all did.
Yeah, of
but
course.
It's not one of the funnest things in the world. I will tell you that.
You will learn Fast Pass Zen for Fantasyland.
I'm a fast pass master, my friend.
Yeah, but you'll be fast passing things that you'll be like, oh, really? I got to fast pass this? Yes, you do.
Sometimes a Fast Pass for Small World makes sense.
Yeah, no. As long as you're not
Because
telling me
you
to
need
fast pass Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor, we're good. Or Philhar Magic. I'm not fast passing any of those ever.
Well, those come free. Those are like free fast passes, so it doesn't even matter.
That's not even necessary. So, all right, well, let's wrap this thing up. What do you say, guys? Anything else you want to mention about this before we wrap up tonight?
Nope.
No, I just want to say that I feel that while we had to have a shorter show, that I had prepared an awful lot of stuff about Damon's detours, which I guess we'll wait till next episode.
I didn't know you had a detour today. That's my fault.
I sent you a message. No, I kid. Those were upcoming.
You said
upcoming.
2019 for those.
No, that's what I said. They're coming, but I want to start talking about them now.
Okay. Well,
I'm going to be in there. So listen, for everyone that loves my detours, next episode.
All right.
We'll have an extended.
Wait, or I could be away. No, I won't be away.
No,
yet.
you won't be
2
away.
weeks.
No, it'll be right before you leave.
We needed a
Okay.
Trevor trip recap this episode.
Oh, I 100% agree. I 100% agree.
Well, next episode we will have a Damon detour for sure. All right. So Trevor, you want to wrap this up?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so as usual, we love hearing your guys' comments. We love, please write into us. You can find us via email at welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com. You can also, we do have a website as well, www.welcomehomepodcast.com, if you want to go look at that for 5 minutes. Also, again, we asked you guys opinions and stuff as we were going through the episode, but if you guys got questions, if you got things you want us to talk about or anything along that lines, we very much love your questions, again, by email, or you can also find us via social media as well. So on Facebook, you can find us as Welcome Home Podcast, on Twitter, Welcome Home Pod, and Instagram as Welcome Home Pics. And as usual, if you guys are subscribing to us through iTunes or Google Play, we do appreciate those reviews because they do help us become more visible so that more people can find us.
Yeah, and don't forget to subscribe to Welcome Home Podcast so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. It's always nice when we send an episode out and you get a little reminder on your phone that you have a new Welcome Home that you can listen to. Of course, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, any app that's has podcasts. You can find us. Just search for Welcome Home. And of course, just a reminder to our listeners, as always, Welcome Home Podcast is for entertainment only. We are not employed by the Walt Disney Company, and as such, any opinions we express on this show are our own. So please consult a DVC representative or a cast member if you have any questions about anything we talked about on this show today. You can, Damon, do you have anything you want to promote today? Do you have your puppet show going yet?
So my puppet has been out of the box. He's been doing some demo work. I have my lighting set up. I have my camera set up. I have my monitor set up. I've gone through a full course of Jim Henson's videos online. So we're right there. For all the budding puppeteers that listen to our show, I can tell you, moving the mouth with just your thumb, not your upper hand, is very taxing, and I'm just not physically able to do it yet. I'm in training. I'm still in training.
Okay. Well, so sometime soon you can promote that, and thanks you. So let us know when you have that done, because I'm sure some people will want to watch that. So thanks again for listening. Join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion and, of course, more DVC talk. We hope to see you all real soon.
This is Skipper Albert AWOL, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
We do a huddle when we hit a chair. How she can cuddle is no